Good day, people. I really want a modified R5R, and as we are in the Netherlands, we don't have any modifying companies here like R5R, TNS, RW Mod, so I'm not able to send an engine out to be modified. And what I like about this hobby is doing things myself, so I'm gonna modify this engine myself. Now, I watched the review that Rex did from RW Mods. A really big thank you to Rex for giving us the timing numbers on the R5R. Now the blowdown is at 43, induction opening 137, then the closing at 53 for a total of 190. And also he said if he was going to modify this engine, he would take the numbers from the opening in the 150s and the closing in the 60s. So I am gonna do just that. Now I have set my degree wheel because I want to see if I can measure those numbers with a degree wheel. Therefore I set my degree wheel on the crank. I started out with raising the sleeve so you haven't got the pinch. Look at the crank and the rod. If the rod is at the top, it's the piston stop dead center. Set your degree wheel on 0. Then I check that by dropping a little plastic on top of the piston, sleeve down, put on the bottom head, turn your degree wheel till it hits, and the other side till it hits. And that must be equal to the 0, and then you know you have set your 0 degrees exactly at the top dead center of the piston. Then I have now my 0 degrees. I'm gonna look in the carb hole and we see that now it's about to open, but you can't see very accurate. So what I do is I get my air compressor and I blow in the crank, and then you can feel and hear if it's gonna open. Now shifted it. This is the timing, and it is at 137. So that is pretty accurate if you do it like this. We're gonna look at the closing. It's about here. Blow in the crank. It's here, and we are at 305. Now that is 55, so that's a couple of degrees off. Here. .306, 307, so that's pretty accurate, man, from these numbers here. So that's actually pretty accurate. So Rex told us if he was gonna modify this engine, he will do the opening in the 150s and the closing in the 60s. So let's say I want to do the opening plus 15 degrees, so it is at 152, and the closing plus 12 degrees is at 65. Okay, so how do I know how much to cut off the crank? So the crank is 14 millimeters. To calculate the circumference, you take 14 times P. So let me calculate that. 14 times P. So the circumference of the crank is 43.982 millimeters. So we now know that. Then we're gonna divide that by 360. So divide 360 is 0.122 millimeters. So 1 degree on the crank is 0.122 millimeters. Now I want to alter the opening 15 degrees. So that's times 15. So the opening, I must shave off 1.832 millimeters. And the closing, that is 0.122 times 12, and on the closing I must shave off 1.464 millimeters. And then we have altered the timing of the crank. Okay, I did the modifying and I slightly changed my plans because I've altered it like this. So the opening is now at 145 degrees. The closing is at 63 degrees with a total of 217. Plus I added a shim of 0.1 millimeter to enlarge the combustion chamber, and I'm gonna break it in as it is now, see how it runs. Then maybe I'm gonna add a sleeve shim, and that will not alter the blowdown, but it will alter the timing of your parts. I'm gonna keep the blowdown at 43. So if I had run it as it is, I'm gonna try a sleeve shim. It is 0.3 millimeters. Then I can experiment with the other shims, see how it runs. Now I took the crank out and I stick a piece of tape exactly till where I need to cut the opening and the closing, and then I simply did it with a Dremel. I cut it until the piece of tape. After that I smoothened it out with some diamond files. Then I want to put the engine back together, but I also replaced the rear steel bearing with a ceramic one. Now we are gonna break this puppy in, and then I'm really anxious to see how it runs with these timing numbers and how it compares to the stock one. Really anxious to see that. Okay people, did the break-in, did the ground tanks, out here for the first test, but it started raining, damn. I'm gonna wait till it's dried up, because I really want to do some testing on this modded R5R. This is violent, man. Jeez. It wants to do wheelies. Man. I am liking this. Like that, like that, like that. It wants to lift the wheels, but not enough grip on this wet grass. Man, I need dry grass. This is gonna be a wheelie king, man. Oh. Woo-ha! This is crazy, man. This has got some power. Gonna be a lot of cleaning after this. This is crazy. Oh, this is screaming. So wetty, man, no grip at all. More rain, people. Think I'm gonna call it for today. This was a nice experiment. Like that, like that, like that. Gonna do some more experimenting with this engine. This is nasty. Like that. Don't like that. Jeez. So I think that's it for today, guys. Till next time.